Um, my name's Tim Coonan. I own Big Shoulders Coffee. So I'm in the coffee business. When did I find myself in the coffee business? 9 years ago, I was working as a chef, and being a chef looks pretty sexy on TV, but it's a lot of long hours. If you bring in the complexities of a relationship, a kid, those are things that are challenged with food service. And so I got out of it, and I was teaching at culinary school. And so my lifestyle changed quite drastically. I went from 90 hours a week to 30 hours a week working. I've always enjoyed coffee. Worked in coffee as a teenager with a roaster back in Indiana, and learned a lot about coffee and how to brew it and how to roast it and how to care for people in a cafe environment. Saw an opportunity in the marketplace where I felt as one of the things that kind of began to drive me down this path of being in coffee was that I enjoyed coffee and I enjoyed going into cafes, but more often than not, I felt uncomfortable as a middle-aged guy. I'm not necessarily cool. I don't have tattoos and piercings and that kind of stuff, and so. But I did have an appreciation for the effort that goes into a good cup of coffee. So I felt like coffee was really lacking a hospitality element to it. And so I started roasting coffee in my garage and delivering it to people on my bicycle. And it was the most arcane business model ever. Didn't make any money on it, but it struck a chord. And I think I began to gather some information about how to, the nuts and bolts of opening a cafe and a roastery, and got some seed money, and we opened the brick and mortar cafe about 7 years ago. We've learned a lot since then, and we continue to learn every day. So when did I have that moment where I was in coffee? Probably when I got the keys to that first space, and the hard knowledge kind of smacks you in the face that, okay, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm in coffee now. I don't know if there's a magic bullet or any just sort of secret sauce that will take care of everybody. But I will say that, for me, the thing that works is this cocktail of part coach, part team player, part cheerleader. And I spend a lot of my time these days managing people and listening to people and motivating people. That's probably where I am at best in serving our team, in just being there and being supportive and giving them enough slack to make mistakes and to learn from those mistakes. So there are some people that are really business savvy and that they get the money part of it. There are people that in this business that they can take a real deep dive into coffee and they know everything about coffee. And I wouldn't suggest that I'm either of those. But we stumble forward and we learn, and the momentum is the thing that carries us forward. So our goals are great, and they're multifaceted, and we are allowing that to carry us forward. I think it is true. We don't know when we unlock the door and we put on the open sign every morning. We're not sure what's going to come through the door at us. So we have to be. I think we have to be present. We have to be available. We have to be put on our listening ears. we've got to be willing to have some flexibility and to read every situation as it comes to us. So there are some customers that come in that are pure joy to deal with, and there are customers that come in and they're carrying some baggage and challenges and struggles, and we don't know what those struggles are. And the best thing that we can do is create a caring environment where they feel welcome and they can work through their stuff. So having top 3 skill sets, I'd say that being ready to be hospitable is important. So being prepared to give good service is really important. Listening and having some flexibility, some ability to respond to the unique situations that we find ourselves in every day. Yeah, there absolutely is something to that. So I think that's an important crossroads to achieve, is to understand that you can't do it all by yourself, and that you need to find and nurture and care for and retain great employees. And that's a challenge that really all industry is facing right now, at all levels of industry and business. There seems to be, I read all the time and I talk to other entrepreneurs about this labor crisis. And while we do have our challenges, oftentimes day to day, we have been really successful in that area, in identifying the right person and challenging them and getting them to stay and grow with us, and celebrating when they are ready to move on. While I do not have to know exactly how to pull a shot of espresso, and I don't, I do need to understand the mechanics of the job in general. So I can walk into any one of our shops and I can, as an observer, understand what is happening, where the deficiencies are, where I can help out, where I need to stay the heck out of the way, and that's really important. I see probably the biggest fault of people getting into any industry, and for whatever reason it seems to be food service quite often, is that they don't know, they very well may know how to cook a great dish of lasagna for their friends or family, but being a home cook, or being a good home cook, or being even an excellent home cook, and translating that to being a restaurateur are two very, very different things. And so I think that there's a lesson there where if you do want to open a cafe, you need to go work in a cafe or a restaurant, or retail. There are some crossover skills there as well. But certainly dealing with the public on a one-by-one basis is super important in what we do.